If the world is to fold, I think it's got to be zombies. It seems our most appropriate conclusion. To be hewn and processed by hungrier-jawed versions of ourselves, our species adores the melody of the drawn-out sundering of skin. We are not graceful enough for disappearing acts like Nagasaki anymore. But after the boards are bulleted to the derelict window frames, the serrated teeth of collapsed glass still stained with the dried crimson of our brothers launching themselves away from other mouths, I'm concerned that we'll feel persuaded to make promises to each other upon that proverbial "if we make it." Please, do not believe any of them. It's not that we are insincere. When our final moments do blossom into our cheeks, I think we will have little room in our bellies for deceptions. It's simply that our most true show of devotion is the promise we cannot fulfill. In the Kubler-Ross model of grief management, the fifth stage is bargaining, in which the subject scribbles contract with unspecified parties like God, self, and sickness, that we will be satisfied if merely granted a little more time, like if I can just make my son's wedding, if I can just make the new year, if I can just make this morning, if I can just make this tightening in my breastplate. When these promises fall flaccid at our deathbeds, I imagine our last thought is, fuck you. Closing our eyes as spitefully as we can, letting our fingers unfurl final, our palms frigid. Like, look at the nothing you've left me with. So I understand how your morale is lifted by planning the details of our first vacation after all this Armageddon ends. I can already see how we'll kick up the smoldering dusk that only a city collapsed can provide, how the embers will illuminate Union Square like no summer ever could, how we'll watch it all from the shoulders of whichever monoliths still decorate the sky, how we'll enter each other in old subway tunnels, how we will sleep every night on whatever surrogate serves as our headstone if the other one doesn't make it. But when you die, and I don't do any of this, it is only because I really do love you and I want to know I've left you unsatisfied, because the only time we really feel alive is when we, hard but not so heavy-hearted, feel like we could have done so much better. It is the guilt that makes these bones feel most like they are holding up a human. It's been a while. I'm very glad that I got to read this again. This is my third show in a row for Nuclear Poetry, and puts together an amazing event. Where'd you go? Right here. You're wonderful. Yeah, I'm just gonna rock it through this and try and get as many in as I can. This piece is called "Advice for Hipsters." I love you. Learn to grow gills. This way. When the sea levels rise to make this city Atlantis, you can still loiter on the corner of East 8th and Catechism, lamenting how the last flood had so much more could have been. Thank you guys. Short poems. This poem is called Cricket, and it's 23 hours old. The uninvited guest musician playing in the otherwise abandoned amphitheater that my basement sometimes fashions itself to be, you were not playing for anybody this evening. Had you been drinking, some fresh trace of sugar cane from the liquor cabinet found its way to your stomach, the stiffened puddles of cheap beer decorating the corners of the room licked clean for your stumbling, or perhaps the music, shrill, short, full of breath, was the violence that your hindquarter voice box demanded this evening, a ragged tear that cares only for the subject, abandoning the concern for sound. So I'm going to do another slam piece now, trying to go back and forth, because I do write a lot of page or academic poetry, but I also do slam, and so I will try to give you an equal showing of each. This piece is called Letter Dated July 2nd, 1937. Dear Amelia, you probably don't know the feeling of falling like I do. You, stretching wings inside steel birds, have never felt the magnetism of gravity wrapping its fingers around your spine and pulling. So today, when the last engine ceases to swallow the clouds and you begin to plummet, don't worry. I'll be there waiting. When Electra starts to burn like the star it was named for, as the first trails of smoke start dancing with the soft pink of your throat, do not breathe them in. They'll only draw the dusk into you more quickly, and trust me, you want to be awake for this. When your stomach starts begging you to do something, to pull up, to straighten out, to release it from the center of you, swallow. Tell it that this is what you signed up for. It is an astonishment few will get to know. Do not close your eyes. You are better than it, Amelia. How else are you here? You are going to be remembered, Amelia. Your new lover, the Pacific, is opening his mouth to drink you in like Atlantic never could. You are going to be his favorite, Amelia. He will boast of you in his belly to other oceans. You are going to be history's favorite falling swan. The open-mouthed solar flare wishing well. You are their first shooting star. The god and mother to every skydiver. The skeleton key unfurling the deadbolt of 19,000 feet. Amelia, I won't let them call you a tragedy. There will be an instant, one of your last, when your body remembers what it was like to be ejected into a blue realm much bigger than your mother, an heirloom of open space, and you will think of me, the angel you planted in each elbow when you were young, where you'll start asking why we do this. Amelia, we cannot trust any creator enough to build for us what we will be capable of. I know. You remember the way I swept the ashes from your tendons, the gravel out of each skinned knee, whenever gravity told you not to test it, how I sculpted wings into the wax of your deltoid muscles, lifted your chin above the horizon, told you to keep your eyes on the proper path. Do not tell me your fingers aren't feathers. You're going to blame me for this, but I cannot apologize. Sure, falling is going to feel like you are short on blood to distribute to the earth of your limbs, but men will lower themselves to earth one day under parachutes and feel like puppets at the fingers of the wind. You will never have those strings, love. When my candle wings expired, the small feathers stuck instead in the mortality I was leaving above me when Helios came to kiss me back. The unfastened bird parts of me still hanging in the sky like an umbilical cord. There's a reason it felt like being born. We were not meant to think of this as a punishment. We are not to bury our ankles in the sand of every hourglass and wait for the sky to fall on us. You know our muscles were never spun to sit us still. You and I have found the fight in our fingers. We are rising in every second of the fall. Amelia, you're welcome. I will be waiting. Arms open, wax wings pulled beneath me. Love, Icarus.